Hello, everybody. Thank you again for the opportunity to present, but we're going to switch gears right now and start talking about sensing. So quantum sensing is a huge opportunity where we can really better understand the world around us, which has huge implications for navigation in particular. So if any of you have any doubt about whether quantum technology is going to have an influence on the world, it's been said before, but the first place to look of the biggest success story in many ways is GPS. So GPS uses remarkably sensitive clocks, very, very precise clocks, which our understanding of quantum mechanics was required to get working. And those clocks allow you to position yourself anywhere in the world as long as you can see those satellites. This technology has been so successful that it has become a dependence. So if we were to lose our GPS satellites due to some interference or some other effect, it's been estimated that the cost for the economy would be in the US around $1 billion per day. This is not just a hypothetical threat. It's a genuine documented issue. So up here we can see this is from commercial airlines who have observed spoofing and removal of GPS signals. So you can buy off the internet today for only a few $100s emitters which can basically spoof a signal and trick a device into thinking it's somewhere it's not. And then there are many applications where you may be on a platform, you may be wanting to navigate, but you don't have access to GPS for another reason. The most obvious, of course, is in submarines. So when you're deep underwater, you can't access those GPS signals from the satellites. And that inability to locate yourself consistently puts strong restrictions on what you can do. So if you want to remain silent, for instance, if you're unable to send out a signal with your sonar to try and help locate yourself, your options become remarkably limited. And if you don't know where you are, many bad things can happen. You certainly can't be very effective in what you're trying to do, and you may even crash into something that you don't want to crash into. So how do we solve this challenge? How do we get past this dependence, which is limiting our ability to do missions at sea and also creates a real weakness in our economy, a vulnerability, so to speak? So the solution is quantum sensors. So at Q-CTRL, we both develop fantastic software solutions to improve quantum computers, but then that same technology we use to ruggedize and improve the performance of quantum sensors. And we do this so that you can take these exquisite, somewhat complex quantum sensors that have been developed in labs over many years and get them working out in the field on a real platform to serve the purpose that we need them to serve, which is to help with navigation. So we are not only developing the software which makes these sensors work on real platforms, we're also developing the hardware to match with it. By developing the hardware itself, we can ensure that the control techniques and our software implementations are actually implementable with the laser systems and electronics that are required to get these devices working. So we have 3 sensing programs. The first is a 3-axis cold atom inertial sensor, so it can measure accelerations in 3 directions. It's the world's most compact, and it is being tested on a platform that is being developed with the Australian Defence Force and our partnership with Advanced Navigation. We also have a dual gravity gradiometer, which allows you to measure the difference between 2 accelerations, which gives you the gravity gradient. This has also been developed and being tested for marine platforms. And then finally, we have a program of developing highly compact magnetometers, again based on atom technology, cold atom and laser technology, which is currently being funded by a partnership with the Australian Army. So as I was saying before, what differentiates this hardware from our competitors is our software ruggedization. So by using our understanding of the physics of the devices and then making agile and performant laser and electronic systems, we can implement controls that in the same way improve a quantum computer's performance from giving the wrong answer to the right answer, can ensure that your sensor gives you the right signal, even if it's on a platform which is vibrating, shaking, under different environmental stresses. We have demonstrated this both through experimental demonstrations in the lab. So if you want to see more of the technical detail, please check out our Nature Comms paper on enhancing the sensitivity of atom interferometric inertial sensors using robust control. I'm a trained scientist, so I really want to explain the plots to you, but I'll try and be simple. So basically, you can see that by applying our designed control pulses, we can actually increase the size of those sine waves, and the size of that sine wave is basically the quality of your signal, how clear it is. So this allows us to then improve the actual accuracy of our measurements, and we get a factor of 20 in terms of the precision of our measurements when the system is under vibrations. And we have then taken that same control technology and demonstrated it on marine platforms. And again, we've managed to take a system which is so swamped by noise you can't even get a signal to a working atom interferometer that can measure a real acceleration. So Q-CTRL as a company, we've got over 130 staff around the world. Our quantum sensing effort has around 40 members who are all in Sydney, Australia. We work with a variety of different agencies, as you can see. So we have funding both from the Canadian Defence Force, Australian Defence Force, and we've recently started partnerships in the UK with Octo and DESA. So I've talked about some great sensors that can work on platforms, and I've mentioned they're the solution to a navigation problem, but I never connected those dots. So let me get back to that. So how can we use incredibly precise measurements of gravitational fields or magnetic fields and turn that into a real navigation capability? So the trick is you use a map. So, let me go back. So there exists, particularly in Australia because we love digging things out of the ground, but we have exceptionally good maps in Australia of both the variation in the magnetic field across our country and also variation in gravitational field. So if you are moving along some trajectory, you have a remarkably sensitive sensor which can work in motion in a robust way, you can actually measure the variation of these magnetic and gravitational fields. And then if you pair that with your map, you can find your location. You can do this without sending out any signal. So you can measure the gravitational variation without revealing your location because it's a completely passive thing to observe. And the other great thing is it doesn't require GPS. It just requires access to maps, and there exist maps of the right quality to be able to navigate across the entire globe. So what we do is, again, we take the science, so we take incredibly precise measurements of accelerations, gravity, and magnetic fields, and then we combine it with a full stack solution. So at Q-CTRL, we develop both the hardware and the performance enhancing software. We also have fusion algorithms and map matching technology to both denoise magnetic signals and reveal the true underlying magnetic signal and match it to a map, and also match gravity signals to gravity maps. And then finally, we have packages of software which allow you to visualize and understand how a quantum sensor would change the nature of your application. And that really is the take home I want to finish with today is we have these, of course I've got a plot, but just before I get to the take home, one more plot for me. So the key thing I want to show you here is as we're navigating, we often depend on measuring, if we're not using GPS, we would normally be just measuring the acceleration that we're experiencing and then integrating it to find out where our location is. So standard inertial navigation tends to eventually run out, becomes more certain as time goes on. Using our map matching capability, this was for a magnetic map matching application on a flight, we can see that the position accuracy not only is much better than standard inertial navigation, it also remains bounded. So you can reach a accurate, precise location and depending on your application, it can be more than sufficient to ensure that you can achieve what you're trying to achieve. We also can combine that navigation technology with denoising technology. So in using that same sensor, we can not only locate ourselves, we can also detect potential anomalies using our noise reduction technology. So if there is a piece of metal nearby which you're trying to observe, you can use this particular denoising technique to potentially identify it. So moving back from the science, how does this connect to you? And how can we at Q-CTRL really move your story forward with quantum navigation? So as I was highlighting before, what we provide is a full stack navigation solution. And as the technology is maturing, and in fact, the quantum sensing technology is maturing rapidly, we already have many demonstrations of quantum sensors working on real platforms around the world. And we are likely to see these technologies in the commercial space as early as next year. What the challenge is that it can sometimes be quite abstract of how a quantum magnetometer, for instance, can actually produce a real outcome to your business. And so what we are really focusing on at Q-CTRL is giving a full stack solution where we can help model and help you understand, if you have a navigation challenge, how a quantum sensor would change it in your particular instance. So the thing I'm highlighting here in particular is there are many cases where you may have a platform, you may be in the air or under the sea, and you may have to, if you didn't have GPS, you may require many complicated sensors. You might be using a camera to try and locate yourself by looking at a map. You might be using sonar to navigate or send information out, or you might be using LiDAR and just checking the distance you are from the Earth and measuring your velocity. These technologies produce a lot of complications. They produce a lot of limitations in what you can do. And so the biggest impact that can occur is if you use quantum sensors, it can not only help you navigate better, it can radically change your mission. You may be able to fly higher because suddenly you don't have to be near the ground due to your not needing your LiDAR system, for instance, anymore. And so at Q-CTRL, what we're really doing today is if you come to talk to us, we can provide you modeling and accessing to software to help you understand how a quantum sensor would affect your application, your platform that you're looking to improve performance on. And then we pair that with our upcoming quantum sensing technology, which could then be put on that platform. So I'll leave it at that. If anyone has any questions, please talk to me afterwards. Oh.
Questions. You started your pitch by mentioning quantum sensors can help with, let's say navigation, GPS denied environment. What other solutions the world has besides quantum sensors to address such a problem?
Many. In the end, you want to have many solutions working together. The key advantage that the quantum sensors have compared to a lot of other sensing technology is they are passive. So there exists a lot of active technologies like LiDAR and sonar systems, which will be able to give you a really good understanding of your velocity. They can be limited because there may be instances where you don't want to be shooting out your signal. There may be instances where that particular band is not applicable in some type of commercial setting. And so being active is not necessarily a great bet. The other technologies which are great when it comes to navigation is star tracking and otherwise doing imaging of the areas, which is passive. But again, there are many instances where you can't see the sky. There are many instances where you won't necessarily be in the right conditions where you can take an image of the ground. And so what the key thing here is to have a platform which is able to work in all conditions. You need a series of navigation capabilities which you bring together, and a series of navigation capabilities which have different levels of trust that you can rely on. So that's why I was also really highlighting this last effort where it isn't about just, oh, I want a quantum sensor, it's going to be fantastic for me. You really need to talk with experts, model it out, find out what new ability it can give your platform and if it is relevant.
Thank you. And the second question is a bit more challenging. I'm curious about your perspective. When do you think a quantum sensor on a moving platform can meet the swap-C metrics for deployment?
Yeah.
Is it a 3-year, a 10-year? Well, what do you think about the journey?
So our targets are we already have our sensors working on certain platforms. But I would say, so by next year, we will have our sensors working on mobile platforms. Our gravimeters will be working on marine platforms, and they are about the entire package is about the size of this podium. And then there are certain platforms like drones or unmanned aerial vehicles where that would be too big. And then our magnetometer technology is your other alternative solution. And again, that's possible by, we've already done some demonstrations this year, but that's going to be available by next year. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no time.
Just going back to the paper that you showed when you can like amplify the signal.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, I guess what's the trick here? I mean, like
the trick I haven't put on the page, unfortunately. So the trick is the manipulation of the laser system. So we're using control techniques where we have it it's annoyingly technical, but we take advantage of our understanding of the atom-light interactions, the physics behind that, which turns out to be this nonlinear interaction. And so we can exploit sophisticated control techniques where we modify the amplitude and phase of those laser beams instead of using simple pulses that are traditionally used to make it ruggedized to motion on the platform. The details are in the paper if you want to check it out, but this is just like one element in many pieces that we pulled together to make our control technology. Yeah.
right, yeah, perfect. Somehow I understood that it was all like post-processing and that just
No,
not possible.
not possible, that's right.